Listen, I'm going to read a statement, and then I know everybody received that probable cause just like we did. And then we'll take some questions, but don't forget, we can't get into the facts of the case, all right? We could touch on some stuff, but we'll look at some of the questions that you asked, and we got our attorneys here, and they'll make the decision. Listen, this is certainly a tragic situation that has affected everyone involved. However, it is very upsetting that a police officer met by a subject who points a firearm at him is not legally allowed to defend himself while in fear for his life. The probable cause affidavit, although consistent with some of the statements made that evening, does not tell the full story. Officer Raja reported for duty on October 18th with no intent to harm anyone, but with full intent to do his job and protect the community. Officer Raja was a probationary officer, having been employed as an officer for only 6 months. Yet he was placed in an undercover duty in an unmarked vehicle without a blue light by his own agency. We will vigorously defend each charge. The PBA stands firmly behind him with full support. We have spoken with many detectives who have 35 years of experience in homicide, and none of them have ever seen a charge like this: attempted first-degree murder when a party is deceased. Is Raja being punished for being a policeman? Do we want law enforcement officers to hesitate before they do their jobs? If a policeman has to be afraid to go out on his or her tour of duty to do their job, then the alternative is chaos. I have been in gunfights. There are split-second, life-or-death decisions where police officers' perception is number one. As Officer Raja told investigators on the night of the incident, Officer Raja identified himself as a police officer before approaching the vehicle. Now, I'll respond to at least the probable cause where it has, where it says, Raja did not identify himself as being a police officer. That's what the investigator officer said. But the audio recording from the AT&T Roadside Assistance Center, the first thing that Mr. Jones said was, huh. Obviously, we're all intelligent, grown adults. Something must have been said when Mr. Jones said, huh. So, Officer Raja was not lying. He was telling the truth when he identified himself as a police officer. Also, what I'd like to bring out, and with the connection of State Attorney Dave Arenberg, we have several closeout letters from several deadly force encounters, and each one of them are the same, pretty much. And I'll just read a couple of quotes. And listen, I can get you copies of these. When the deputy felt that his life was at risk, he fired his service weapon. In quotes, at least where orders to drop the weapon have gone unheeded, an officer is not required to wait until an armed and dangerous felon has to draw a bead on the officer or on others before using deadly force. All right? Listen, this is case law. And Officer Raja identified himself as a police officer. And for the charges for attempted first-degree murder and manslaughter to exist, we're just disappointed in the State Attorney's Office. And we just feel that outside sources have prompted the State Attorney to go to the grand jury and have a true bill on these charges. With that said, we'll take a few questions, but they will screen. Yeah.
In the probable cause affidavit, it says that his sergeant told him to wear his police vest so that he'd be instantly recognizable as a police officer. They say they found that in the van. Should he have been wearing his vest as told to by his superior?
Yeah, you know what? And I've been in undercover capacities also, and there's times when you take off your vest, whether you're hot or whatever, and he did take it off. Should he have had it on? Probably, but he thought that vehicle was abandoned, and he was just getting out to check the car. I don't think it was noted in the probable cause that he did check out with the supervisor that evening and asked permission to check out with that vehicle, and the sergeant gave him permission. I don't think it's said in that probable cause. Yeah, Chuck.
Did you say that Officer Raja did identify himself as an officer?
Yes, he did.
How do you know that?
Based on
Listen, we cooperated fully with this investigation at the time of the incident. We even did a walkthrough. We did, Attorney Fagan was out representing him, and our previous protocol was to adhere to, whether it's the state attorney or the sheriff's office, whoever's doing the investigation, we cooperate. And what we did is we did a walkthrough. And during that walkthrough, which is a statement, it's audio videotape, that Officer Raja stated that he got out and identified himself as a police officer.
So that's what he said.
Well, listen, what do? We don't believe police officers now?
John, also in the probable cause affidavit, one element that has received a lot of attention is after the 6 gunshots were fired, 3 of which hit struck Mr. Jones, Officer Raja used his personal cell phone to call 911. As that call was connected, before the 911 operator could answer, Raja is heard yelling the terms, "Drop that expletive gun right now." All of this happening after the 6 shots were fired, the 3 that struck him. How do you explain that? How do you defend that?
Listen, I'm not going to really get into it, but me personally, I don't have a problem with that, because have any one of you been in a gunfight? I'm telling you, if you've never been in a gun battle or in a gunfight, your adrenaline is pumping. That's the only thing that the communication that he had on was a phone. And what he did is he immediately got on the phone. He did not know at that time that he probably hit the individual. And he's still yelling and screaming. I'm telling you, haven't been in a gunfight, it's hard to judge. But what else we got? Anything else? Yeah.
In your initial statement here, you were talking about him being a probation officer employed for 6 months, but he did have 7 years with the other department. He taught college courses in policing. This was an experienced police officer. He wasn't a rookie. How do you jive that statement with the fact that he had 7 years experience and taught college?
Well, what I'm jiving at is, he's a probationary officer. Why is he in an undercover capacity?
But he had experience. He wasn't some rookie.
Listen, you're not going to go to the sheriff's office, West Palm Beach, any other department 6 months, and they're going to stick you undercover. I don't care if you have 20 years experience. You're still on probation, but Palm Beach Gardens see fit to do that, and that's what they chose to do.
Also in this probable cause affidavit, Officer Raja told investigators that he had seen Corey Jones throw the silver-colored handgun in the hall of brass. Despite that observation, he continued to fire. So, again, how does that, how do you explain that?
I can't get into that, because that's, like Attorney Fagan said, that's not the full story. So I won't get into that.
Are you able to give us any kind of a sense of what you think happened there?
No, listen, Chuck, we're certainly not going to try this in the media, and I'm not here to bash Mr. Jones whatsoever. I mean, what happened was Nouman Raja, Officer Raja, confronted this individual, and this individual got out with a gun. And something bad happened. And when you come out of a car with a gun, and without training, and with our experience, and what we're taught in the academy and throughout our careers, the number one, probably the number one encounter for officers killed in the line of duty is while you're approaching a car or being ambushed by a car. That's what we're trained to do. And when you pull up to that car and you think it's abandoned and someone got out of the car with a gun, something bad's going to happen.
How is Nouman Raja doing? What's his reaction to all this? Have you spoken to him?
He's over in jail. Why don't we ask him, Katie?
Well, have you spoken to him?
No, I haven't spoken.
The arrest?
I have not spoken to him. Richard Lubin, who's representing him, has spoken to him. But I'm sure he's not doing that good.
This case, the state attorney took this case to the grand jury, but did not seek an indictment. He just wanted the grand jury's opinion on whether or not the force was justified. In the past, the state's attorneys have taken police shootings to the grand jury
Well-
grand jury, but not asking for an indictment.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to ask Dave Arenberg or Brian Fernandez that question. However, what we are upset about, and I'll just touch on one thing about the grand jury, they did not bring in the lead investigator or anybody from PBSO in that grand jury for a testimony. So it was one-sided. And listen, we all know the saying, right? You can indict a ham sandwich. So I hate using that forte, but I guess I'm here to say it. And it's true. I seen it.
And the PDA will pick up the legal fees, or will pay with the,
That's correct. Out of our legal defense, we will pay for the legal fees.
Given the circumstance, we don't know that Mr. Jones heard Officer Raja identify himself. He was talking to the operator. How should he, if he sees this person in plain clothes in an unmarked car pull up 3:15 in the morning, how do you think he should have reacted to that? He has a licensed gun. He's legally allowed to have it. How should he have reacted in that situation?
Well, I wish he would have got out of the car without a gun, certainly, because he'd still be alive today. But once you come out of that car with a gun and you confront a police officer,
Well, what if Mr. Raja had been a robber as opposed to a police officer?
and it's his perception, and with the stand your ground law, probably Mr. Jones would have been justified.
you had mentioned, you said earlier that there were outside sources that had prompted the state attorney to go to the grand jury. What are those outside sources, and could you comment too on the fact that this particular incident happened at a time when the nation was very focused on police shootings, and what influence all of that you think may have had on personal animals?
Yeah, sure. And listen, if everybody remembers when this first happened, Palm Beach Gardens Police Department was stagnant on not coming out and being transparent with the public. They didn't give a press conference on what transpired. It took 1 or 2 days to get out there and to confront the public. However, I had to push that for the chief to get out there and confront the public, because if not, what we were seeing across the nation is protests, riots, and things like that. And I did not want that to happen in Palm Beach County. And when I'm talking about outside sources, we could see what's happening across the nation where, Officer Raja, they found out where he lived, and they were up protesting at his house. They protested Dave Arenberg's house. People, not in this community, but outside the community, come into this area and do things like that. And they commit criminal acts while they're doing it. So those are the outside sources that I'm talking about, that I feel that had a decision that the state attorney took, number one, took it to the grand jury, and then
Are you concerned, this in the country is still a big issue. If this case goes to trial and it's a jury trial, they'll have to pick a jury. How concerned are you that Officer Raja would be able to get a jury of his peers in the environment that we're seeing in the United States?
yeah, we're gonna talk to Attorney Lubin. However, that is a concern. Would he get a fair trial here? That's something we need to think about.
What do you say to the poor Jones family?
Oh, listen, this is a tragedy. I mean, I feel bad for them. That's why I can't say anything bad about Mr. Jones. There's absolutely nothing. This is just a tragedy on both sides. And Mr. Raja does have a family also. So both families, listen, it's broken two families. And I've been an individual that have a tragedy in my life, and two broken families exist. So I know what the Jones family is going through. And I know right now they want justice. However, I just feel that Nouman Raja was doing his job that night.
Where is Nouman Raja's family? Why?
Katie, I don't know. And even if I knew, I'm not going to tell you. But good try. Yeah, good try. You got to ask. All right, folks. Hey, thanks for coming. Thank you.